Hey everybody, so you're looking at the LG V40 ThinQ. Yes, all the rumors are true. This phone has not one,
Not two, not three, not four,
but 5 cameras. Yeah, I know there are some US tech bloggers that are being snarky, that are criticizing the V40 before they even had a chance to try the phone by saying that the 5 cameras is a gimmick, it's overkill. Well, they're mostly wrong because the 3 cameras on the back is actually pretty cool and necessary, and I think more phones are going to introduce that in the future. While the 2 selfie cameras up front, yeah, I admit it's probably overkill and isn't needed. I'll get into that later. Let's talk about the 3 cameras on the back first because these are the stars of the show. So LG's been using a dual camera setup for a long time, since the LG G5. In fact, LG was the first company to introduce dual cameras. Now everybody has dual cameras. So you have a main 12 megapixel sensor and a wide angle lens at 107 degrees at 16 megapixel. This wide angle lens is essentially the same as the LG G7, which means it has minimal distortion, image quality is pretty good, but a little bit soft focus in the middle. The main camera sensor though has gotten a pretty big hardware upgrade from the G7 and the V30. Now, the micron pixel size has been increased to 1.4 from the 1.0 found in the V30. The larger the micron pixel size, the more information is stored in each pixel, so that means images just have more details and more photo information. The main lens also has an aperture of f1.5, so 1.5 is the lowest f-stop in a mobile smartphone yet. Other smartphones have f1.6 and 1.7, and in general, the lower the f-stop, the more light the camera module pulls in. And finally, the new third camera, it's a 2x telephoto lens, and it works just as advertised. It allows you to do 2x lossless zoom. So now because you have 3 lenses, one is super wide and one is 2x telephoto, that means you have an extra wide zoom range of motion on the LG V40. You can get as wide as this to all the way in like that, and you see it makes a big difference actually. So the 2 selfie cameras up front, you have an 8 megapixel main sensor with a secondary 5 megapixel wider selfie camera. So now as you can see, the difference between the wider selfie lens and the main selfie lens is not that big, so I don't think this phone really needs 2 selfie cameras up front. So now these cameras actually work together in tandem for a couple of features. The first is the bokeh mode, portrait mode, which by now everybody's familiar with. The LG V40 basically uses 2 lenses on the back or 2 lenses on the front to detect the subject in the background, so you get a bokeh effect that is actually hardware natural bokeh instead of just a software algorithm driven. So it looks a little bit more natural, and it gives you more room to adjust the blur to play with the depth of field effect. So now the second feature that I think a lot of people are going to love is that the V40 can take Cinemagraphs. So basically it uses 2 cameras in unison to capture a still image combined with video. So what you get a still image, but parts of the frame move. So it's very easy to do. All you have to do is go in the camera app, go into CineShot, hit the red record button, hold the phone for 6 seconds, and after that you'll get a preview. From right here, you can use your finger to paint over the areas of the screen that you want to have movement, and then after that you have either a video or a GIF of this cinemagraph that looks pretty cool. Check out some of the ones I've made already. I think these are pretty fun. And yeah, I know that you can actually download a third-party app to get similar effects, but those apps only use 1 camera, so they look a little bit more janky. The V40 uses 2 cameras to produce this cinemagraph. So under the hood, the V40 runs on a Snapdragon 845 with 6 gigs of RAM and either 64 or 128 gigs of internal storage. So that's basically the same spec sheet as every Android phone in 2018 other than Huawei devices. So performance-wise, this is exactly what you expect. The phone is pretty snappy. I mean, it's not like the zippiest phone around. The OnePlus 6 is probably still noticeably faster, but you know, no performance issue, no lag, and considering this phone's still running pre-production software, pretty impressive. The Android version right here is 8.1. LG says they will get Android Pie sometime earlier next year, although no promises. And of course, there's LG Skin on top, which is obviously not as great as stock Android, but I like it. It's fine. It has no app tray, which I don't like, but then the app icons are pretty clean, and there's a shortcut button to bring down notification shade, which I always like. You swipe to the right, you get this little shortcut page right here. swipe down from the home screen, you get a search menu. So kind of a little bit blend of iOS stuff. But there are a lot of LG specific features that I really like that I think it's overlooked by other reviewers. So for example, I really love double tap to lock and double tap to wake, because it's just easier than having to reach for the power button. And also, I really like that you can unlock the phone by tapping on the screen. This is useful because I work at a desk a lot, so my phone's always sitting on a desk, and I love that I can unlock the phone by just tapping on it, and I don't have to look at the screen because you can tap anywhere on the screen. If I try to unlock something like an iPhone 10, it's freaking annoying as hell. So because, you know, I don't want to bend over to use my Face ID, so I have to first have to power on the screen, swipe up, let Face ID finish scanning, and then input my PIN. And then because, you know, when you put in your PIN, you have to look at the screen because you can't really guess where the numbers are. So the whole process takes like 4 seconds, and I have to look at the phone. So overall, the build quality of this phone is very similar to the LG G7. You still have the hardware button right here that triggers Google Assistant. So that's useful depending on who you are. I don't use Google Assistant that much, so don't really need it. You have the power button on the right side, volume rockers right here, and the fingerprint sensor here really fast, but I really miss the days when LG put the power button inside the fingerprint sensor too. It's just, I don't know, it's just cool to have everything on the back. So in terms of dimensions, the V40 and the iPhone XS Max is very similar. On the XS Max, you have a 6.5 inch screen. On the V40 is 6.4. So the display is a little bit smaller here because there's a little bit of a chin on the bottom. So this is an OLED panel, so colors are very punchy and blacks are very deep. Now, I know last year's V30, the OLED panel got a little bit of flack for having color shifting. When you tilt the phone, you get a little blue shift. The problem has been mostly fixed. I mean, I wouldn't say it's completely gone, but it's not that bad. Look, I mean, the color tints is quite normal. And, you know, the OLED panel doesn't get as bright as the LG G7's LCD panel, but it's still very usable outdoors. And overall, it's very nice looking display. I like it. It's not better than the Samsung Galaxy Note 9's OLED, but you know what is. So LG introduced in the G7 Boombox speakers, which is basically, it uses the phone's hollow area as a resonance chamber to pump out louder sound. So the V40 improves on that a little bit by pumping out sound not just here, but also the earpiece. But LG is careful to mention that this is not a stereo setup because it's not dual channel. So the sound coming out here is just the same sound coming out here, so it's mono channel, but at least you do get sound from two directions. And the Boombox speaker really does make the LG V40 really loud phone. So I can use this phone to listen to music or podcasts without really needing to use earbuds or connect it to a portable speaker. So I'll show you really quick. So this is my band and I. That's me on the drums. So the speaker right now, you know, it's pretty loud as it is, but if you put it onto a desk, it uses the desk as a resonance chamber and it pumps up the sound. Now it's even better if you put it inside a hollow box. So see, the sound is just fuller. Yeah, I know you're asking how come I didn't test sound on a K-pop video, especially since I'm in Korea right now. So I'm gonna do it. So speaker test. This is max volume. We'll actually go a little lower because it's a little bit too loud for me. The speaker is really loud, so you do get sound coming from both sides. And again, the speaker gets louder when you put it onto a flat surface. So now let's look at some photo and video samples. Now, do you know that this phone is running pre-production software? So the final retail version should improve the photo images even more. But even now, just as it is, I think the photos come out very clean, very crisp. Bouquet shots are on point. Edge detection is great. You're able to adjust the blur after the fact. The camera is very useful. I usually use an LG phone when I go shoot videos out on the street when I vlog because it has a wide angle lens, and the wide angle lens is indeed useful. Oh, and I really like that this year, if you long press on the icon, you get a preview of all three lenses too. So you get to see how the framing is before you actually go switch to that lens. Now with that f1.5 aperture and a 1.4 micron pixel size, the V40 can pull in a lot of light. So you check out this shot, taken at night, looks pretty good. Another nice shot right here, looks good. Now you look at these two photos side by side between the V40 and the iPhone XS Max, and the V40 pulls in more light. Anyway, I'll shut up for now and just show you more photo and video samples. So yeah, so that's about it for now. I can't review the phone yet because this is running pre-production software, so I'll have to wait a week or two for the full review. Right now, my biggest concern is the battery, because this phone only has a 3300 milliamp hour battery, which is quite a bit smaller than what Samsung and Huawei offers in the flagship. So I don't think this phone will be able to last me a full day because I'm a really heavy user. Now, there's no official pricing yet too, but I'm pretty sure the phone will be cheaper than what Samsung and Apple's asking. It's not going to be $1,000. I'm guessing it'll be in the $700 to $800 price range. And for that, you get a really well-rounded phone. It has all the features you'd expect from a flagship: wireless charging, fast charging, IP68 water resistance, an OLED panel, a pretty fast software performance, 6 gigs RAM, Snapdragon 845. So it's gonna be fine playing games, handling apps, all of that. So that's it for now. I'll be back with a full review. Thanks for watching.